Garcian. How long has it been?
What is this?
Why, this is the Lost and Gone podcast.
Welcome to Die!
Welcome. This is Grim, and I'm going to share with you a tale of what has never been and what could have been. Let us see what has never been. Walk down the hall with me and take a face from the ancient gallery.
Let us begin with the advent of 3D graphics.
In the early days of 3D graphics, no one could have known just how far things would end up going. Now, if you ask some of the older folks in the audience what their favorite open-world sandbox games are, no doubt you'll hear of Fallout 3 and Elder Scrolls 3. Both games made years apart but by the same company. You might even hear some GTA fans in there. But Bethesda didn't always own the rights to Fallout. It used to be in the hands of Interplay until a long winding road saw it fall into their hands. And afterward, there is hardly anyone out there who doesn't remember Fallout 3, New Vegas, or Fallout 4. These games, taken on their own merits, are special to many young and adult gamers alike. The mere mentions of these games conjure forth images of sheer vastness, desolation, and mystery. Anyone who likes a little fun can remember how wacky it can end up when you select the Wild Wasteland.
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
Now, whether you enjoy making yourself into a vault boogeyman or wasteland messiah, there's always been a little something for everyone in the Fallout series. But most people haven't played the second one in the series, or the first one, where things were wild. You could do lots of things not later seen in the series, such as becoming a porn star or euthanizing the wasteland's children with your spear. Although that was later patched out of the game, it was alongside many more exciting things that these games uniquely had to offer. These were the most insane and wild things you could do in the games. But that's enough reminiscing of Fallout's past. We're here to talk about the third one in the room, and I'm not talking about the Bethesda Softworks version. While Fallout 1 was initially made and developed by Interplay Interactive, by the second one, Interplay made a dedicated team from its staff, resulting in Black Isle Studios. Like before, they had no deadline and used their expertise working on Dungeons & Dragons to add a great RPG feel. However, Titus Interactive bought out Interplay before Fallout 3 could be started. This left Black Isle in a weird spot with Fallout 3, but they had trouble with the engine they were using to develop it, and decided instead to focus on Icewind Dale, which is another RPG game, although some would argue not nearly as well put together. So when the time came to later on try it again, they decided to do it the old-fashioned way, and start it just like a game of D&D, complete with a Dungeon Master. Thus, they added more as they went and began working on the Fallout Bible to iron out points of lore in the series. However, it was later discussed that it was mostly just for making a base from which devs and writers could start. Independent of this endeavor, another game in the series came in the form of Fallout Tactics, which was combat heavy and was instead made by Micro Forte and was mostly considered not canon, with only the major plot points being considered canon. It honestly was regarded favorably and was enjoyed by most fans, myself included. It was all about being in the Brotherhood of Steel. However, if you were able to pre-order it, it would come with a bonus disc, which included a bonus mission for the base game and something extra called Fallout Warfare, which was a tabletop miniature game and a separate playable experience. But after this was released, the ideas were finally manifested for Fallout 3, and it had the codename of the US President, Van Buren, which was standard for projects that were made in-house at Interplay. This non-existent game's story is inspiring and feels almost like a look into another universe. The NCR keeps going westward, and in Fort Tibbet, Colorado, you awake in a prison cell with the option of being either a super mutant ghoul, or human, for a crime they maybe did or didn't do. However, this prison is no ordinary prison, and is controlled by an AI,
Odysseus.
and there's a jailbreak thanks to an NCR intervention. This lets you roam free and make a name for yourself by either helping a tribe fix their train tracks or resolving the conflict over the Hoover Dam, which involves the Brotherhood of Steel and NCR fighting over the dam. You can expose the Crimson Caravan, which is double dipping and trying to profit off both sides, or destroy the Brotherhood's bunker. Also, a part includes a failing water system for a new Canaanite tribe, which has them in a pickle because they want to stay isolated. But you can make them either oust their leader and see them become an essential part of the local community, or fix it for them and let them be as they are. The final story point of the game comes with going to Boulder City, Colorado, and seeing that there is a deadly plague spreading amongst its denizens. There, you meet Dr. Presper, who was a pre-war doctor who is cryogenically frozen, and the SOB who locked you up in the first place, who, to a dramatic reveal, informs you that your jailbreak was no accident, and that you were used as a vector to spread the disease to all the other communities. This is where the AI prison becomes relevant again, because it can somehow track the disease, and after spreading it too far, it will allow missiles to be launched from a space station. This would let the good doctor eradicate life all over again on Earth, while he and a select few knock back a couple of cold ones at the Boulder Dome, which was a pre-war construction that was meant to ride out any disaster that might occur. Your protagonist, of course, takes a problem with it and follows him into space, with you being just a little too slow, and when you arrive, discovering that the missiles have been launched. You get one of two options. Either overload the space station's reactor, or tell the doctor's friends what he's really up to, and they will turn on him. However, this still leaves the missiles, and no matter what, you still have to make the tough decision on where two of the missiles will impact, and whether you choose to land it in NCR territory or Legion territory is entirely your choice. And with the weight of the impact of that on your shoulders, you make your decision. However, this is when the game ends, and you only have one more choice, and that is to leave. You have to use an escape shuttle, and without having a designated landing location, you end up having to land somewhere unknown, walking off into the sunset, and roll the credits. Now, this would typically be the end of it, but there's still more to talk about regarding this enigmatic game. When it came time to really get underway, the parent company Interplay was being managed by Titus, and they made some seriously questionable decisions, leading to Interplay and Titus getting sued by BioWare for violating their contract with them by sub-licensing the Neverwinter Nights out. Moreover, they lost their contract to make Dungeons & Dragons. It also seems that there were issues with unpaid royalties, since Fallout's development depended on money from D&D and Neverwinter Nights. This led to a loss of $23.6 million, leaving the company in a horrible state. However, they still could make games under the Baldur's Gate name and Icewind Dale through a legal loophole that they had. This is, of course, in 2003, when before in 2001, when they hemorrhaged $46.3 million. Now, if you add those together, it's needless to say that that spelled the end of Black Isle Studios, and all of those crucial people decided to start working in a different company, which goes by the name of Obsidian Entertainment. Then, Interplay agreed to sell the rights to publish Fallout to Bethesda Softworks, and shortly afterward, they bought the IP as a whole, and that's how it has been, even till now. This still isn't the end yet. There is still an interactive demo of Van Buren on the World Wide Web, and it looks so promising. Mainly made with the Jefferson engine, it is a proper 3D RPG with an isometric view, complete with the usual trappings of the Fallout series. But this is where I get to tell you that there presently is work going on to make and revive the game of Van Buren. Over at ProjectVanBuren.com, there is an attempt to create a perfect interpretation of the game by Adam Lacko, and it looks incredible. give the website a visit and follow them on X to get updates. And trust me, I know they're not the only ones out there doing something in the spirit of this game, but what they're doing and attempting is a pure remake of the game. But before we end this tale of the wasteland, let's visit Uncle Gork. Dear Celia, it's been a fortnight since we last spoke. I've been traveling around with simple folk. Possessions are in my past, for I have found religion at last. Uncle Gork has been most unkind because I won't take his damn dime.
Take this here dime, boy. It'll make you rich.
I thought how great to be rich and not have to fish. But I knew that there would still be a price to pay. What could it be this time? A dime that freezes time? A dime that commits a crime and leaves evidence behind? A dime that constantly yells the time? Or worse yet, a dime that tries to change my mind? And with that, I left everything behind. And Uncle Gork smirked and said,
Soon you'll see that you're not meant to leave.
Whatever could he mean? Was he simply trying not to be mean? I suppose I may never know. And with that, I must go. Praise be. Well, looks like it's my favorite part of the show, the ending. So, of course, I give a special shout out to my dear Melissa. Thank you for all the love and support. This also means it's time to shout out to my favorite author, Ray Bradbury. Also, special shout out to my great friends over on the Secret Levels podcast. Hopefully after this episode is up, we'll have done our episode together on Lester the Unlikely. Please give them a listen and a sub so you don't miss out on their podcast. Or, if you want to dive into some nostalgia, check out the Afterglow podcast. I've done an episode where we reminisce about Resident Evil, one of my favorite franchises of all time. Leave me a message or send me a message through your podcast app of choice on what topics you'd like to see in the future. And always remember that the darker the times, the brighter the light you need to be.